like many other black people, grew up watching a lot of black sitcoms. And to name a few, The Parkers, The Proud Family, The Cosby Show, A Different World, and just to name a few of the classic black shows that were on television from primarily UPN. The black shows in the 90s and early 2000s carried UPN through, but that's a whole nother video. One thing I noticed watching these shows was the subtle programming, the subtle imagery, the subtle brainwashing, so to speak, with certain shows. So typically, in certain shows like The Parkers, I'm gonna use that as an example. You had Nikki Parker with her daughter Kim Parker, and Kim basically was the more funny role than she was in Moesha. But you had Nikki Parker pursuing Professor Ogilvy to the point where she would make a fool of herself. She would pursue him. She would go after him, and she would always be the butt of the joke for her body, her desirability. So that's one example. The next example is The Proud Family with Dejanay. Dejanay comes from a background where her parents have a bunch of children. She's slightly overweight, clearly from the cartoon, and she's dark skinned. And she was always pursuing and going after Sticky. Even in Moesha, you had Kim, which was a sidekick to Brandy's role, or Moesha in that show. And in that show, Brandy's role slash Moesha was basically the beauty, the desirable one, and Kim was pursuing Hakeem. So, with that being said, those are examples of which there was subtle imagery of one, if you look this way, you are undesirable. Two, to get a man's attention, you must be the pursuer. You must be the one that goes after. You must be the one to pursue, and you're not worthy or valuable or desirable enough or attractive enough to be pursued. And then sometimes those characters were very loud and outlandish. So me growing up as a introverted black, dark-skinned girl, or an introverted black girl, period, that enjoyed reading a good book, staying to myself, that was somehow viewed as abnormal. Something's wrong with her. Why does she never talk? Why does she never say anything? As though just me existing at the time was a problem. But that's another video too. Just being growing up the quiet, introverted, nerdy black girl, it's a problem in certain communities and certain environments. But also the power imagery is when I got to watch A Different World, and I seen Kim Reese. Kim Reese was a character in A Different World that was pursuing a degree in medicine. She had the most beautiful smile and the most beautiful chocolate skin. And that was the first character I really saw where she was celebrated for her beauty. She wasn't this strong black woman trope either that they like to sometimes send dark-skinned women down a rabbit hole. She was very feminine, very soft, very malleable, very sweet of a character, and she wasn't an overbearing character. And she also had layers. There was a lot of character development with Kim Reese's character. So I will say imagery is important, representation is important, and the subtle imagery of what sometimes television is sending you is damaging to you as a kid growing up. And so much that you have to reverse or undo some of that programming into adulthood. But that's just my 2 cents on things I observed watching television growing up, especially black television, black TV, black shows. All still entertaining, all still classics, but there were some things said and done in those shows that were problematic. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace.